Of all the things I wanted to learn about myself this year, one thing is still true. I have got to get my schnitzel together. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to beat myself up here. I'm not trying to be too hard on myself or make myself a victim. I have accepted my life, and I have a pretty darn good life. What is clear, though, and becomes clear every single week passing, is that I have a lot of things that I want to do for myself. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish in this life. And in order to do that, I have to be on top of it. I've got to be on my game. And that is something, my friends, that I have been lacking these last few months. Being a single mom, actually just being a parent, is hard. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is super rewarding, and I will always say that it's worth it. But after a 9-hour workday, trying to also fit in working out, a daily art practice, making sure that we're eating right, which means little processed foods, which means planned grocery trips, having enough food in the fridge, and cooking, is a lot to balance. On top of keeping our area clean, doing laundry, and making sure that I also have time to be present and patient with my kids and actually play with them. There just seems like there's not enough time in the day. As much as I feel like I'm dropping the ball in a lot of these creative areas in my life that I'm trying to pursue, I do feel like I'm learning a lot, and it is helpful. When we go through these seasons, I feel like the best thing we can do for ourselves, instead of getting down and feeling like we're failing, is to take a step back and ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? And from that, what can I do differently? I'm lucky and only have a 4-day work week in office, and I have a half working from home day on Fridays. I see that I can utilize this time a little bit better. But I can also see that I might need to draw back my expectations of myself on the 4 days that I'm working. Although I get home a lot earlier than many people who live a corporate job, and I'm also very lucky that not much more is expected of me than hitting those 40 hours. But 40 hours in a week is still 40 hours in a week nonetheless. And when I am trying to pursue YouTube, work on my website, actually have artwork to continually push out and show into the world, and it's also my way of coming back to myself, it can feel very overwhelming and very unfortunate when I am missing the mark time and time again. In my reflecting, the biggest thing that I'm seeing here is that I have not been setting myself up for success. I don't think that the things that I am pursuing are not obtainable, even though I've been dropping the ball on them. What I'm really seeing is that I have not been executing or planning, therefore I can't even execute accordingly because I am putting too much on myself on days that it's not going to work out. I'm also realizing that I might have a little bit of an unhealthy attachment or relationship with exercise. I have this mentality that I have to do something every single day. And while I do think I need movement for sure, I need to accept that a solid lifting routine is not going to happen every single day with my current life situation. Obviously, that can change as the boys grow, as my job changes, as things progress. But right now, I think doing a little bit less would probably benefit me more, especially because my sleep has not been the best. Sleep is so darn important, and I think the biggest reason I am even making this video and addressing this topic is because I have probably had a lack of sleep or a good solid sleep from January of this year. It has been a long time coming. So I just really need to focus in on how I can get to bed earlier, reestablish a solid nighttime routine, because those 4 working days of 9 hours, while I am so thankful for them and I still get home earlier, I still feel like it is like throwing spaghetti at the wall when I get home, and it can be chaos in the best way but it can be super overwhelming. And that week after week, I'm starting to see has really worn me out. So then on my rest of the day, Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I just feel like I'm in recovery mode. I am more foggy, super tired. I'm not as on it as I was before. Everything feels last minute, and then I still feel pressure to try to get the things that I actually want to do and put out into the world done, like making a video, trying to make art. It has been a good while since I have even been able to sketch in my sketchbook or get my paints out or do anything like that, and it really just wears out on me. I forget how much I need that in my life until I go long periods without having it. As much as I love to do the home design and the flips and bring you along and show you what that looks like, and I still plan to do so, I feel like sometimes it is also a way to just get content and distract from actually sitting down and allowing myself to be focused on creating that art practice and just keep pushing myself to create new and different art pieces, whether it's for art prints or whether it's for prints for different ideas I have for throw pillows and bedding and different products like that. I'm just seeing a lot of these different little habits about myself and just kind of reflecting, like I said, and seeing how beneficial reflecting is when you allow yourself to get really, really honest with yourself and just kind of asking, what do I actually want my life to look like in 5 years? What is my goal? What do I want to be known for? What do I want to be putting out there? And from answering those questions, you can backtrack and say, okay, well then I need to start here. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit of a blank slate here, a little bit of a fresh start to then get my schnitzel together because things are just getting a little bit out of hand. The brain fog, the lack of motivation, the not knowing what to focus on, and then when I pick, the inability to actually focus on it. I think a lot of this does stem from just pushing myself a little too far without proper rest. And so I am going to do my absolute best to get at least 7 hours of sleep every night, especially on the days that I am working. I am going to put less on my plate on those 4 days and try to get some things done, maybe some technical side things done during my lunch hour at work. And the movement side of it is really going to float in my schedule during the 3 days that I am home. I will probably still try to put one exercise in during that 4-day work week, but it will be something probably relatively quick, more HIIT inspired that I can get outside and do with the boys so that I don't feel like I'm gone for 9 hours and then I come home and I need to take another hour and then another couple hours because I have to cook and prep and all of those things. Yesterday, I sat down with my coffee and wrote out a schedule for myself to try to stick to. This is another huge just red flag in my character that I will spend so much time and effort writing things out to then not follow through. I am not sure where this toxic trait in myself has come from, if it is a lack of self-trust, if it is just me consuming too much and then taking the time to write something for myself in my life and then seeing something else and being like, that's probably better, and then falling off. But it needs to stop. So I am officially ending my relationship with that trait today and moving on to bigger and better things for myself and in my life. And part of that is a new relationship with following through and doing the things that I set out for myself. I am very proud that I have stuck to YouTube weekly since promising myself that I was not going to take another break or month off and just trying to be consistent. Well, it can be hard when you're spending the time putting things out there and there's very little growth, very little interaction or anything that you're really hoping for with all of your efforts. At the end of the day, I come back to the realization and the truth that I am doing this for myself. I am doing this to document my own growth, my thought processes, and where I'm at and how I do things. Honestly, I think part of how I even got here, part of how I'm seeing like, wow, you get so behind. You aren't doing the things that you say. You aren't really producing the same type of content because you're not making the time for it. what do you actually want to do here, is because I can actually look back physically at some of these videos, at the titles, and even remember the clips that I've taken, the things that I have said, and know that I either am doing it or that I'm not. It's been a useful tool, and that is one of the reasons why I also wanted to do this. I wanted to see where I could be a year from separating, and now being officially divorced and moving into a new life, a new way of doing things, I can see that I'm still getting my footing in life and trying to get myself established and figure out what I want my life to look like and what I want to be doing. And I think that's okay. These things take time and they also change. I don't think what I want now is going to be what I want in 5 years, especially if I achieve what I want. Of course, it's going to change. It's going to be ever evolving. What I really want is to feel like I have control over my time. And sometimes that can be really, really difficult to find when you're working hard at a corporate job, when you have to give a minimum of 40 hours. And again, as I said, I know that I'm very lucky. I witnessed this with my parents, where the moment that you're put on salary, a lot of companies want a lot more from you. And then there's this belief that in order to progress, in order to get that raise, in order to get anything that you are probably already worthy of, you have to bow down and do what they say. You have to work the 60 hours. You have to miss dinners with your family. You have to get up earlier. You have to sacrifice your health. These are big issues that I would love to tackle another day. These are also beliefs and thought processes and lifestyles that I just refuse to get on board with, because they go against so hard my core values and my core beliefs and thoughts on life and how it should be. Especially being a mom, and while I am a single mom providing for my kids, I want to do everything I can to also take care of myself, which is why I plan to prioritize sleep and try to get more rest. I don't want to sacrifice movement. I don't want to sacrifice anything that can help me in the long term to be a grandma, to continue to be able to run around with my kids. But there's also no point in trying to do all of those things if you are then sacrificing the relationship that I have with them. I don't want to waste my time doing meaningless things or waste time planning to then not follow, because at the end of the day, that's time that I still took from myself. It's time I could have spent with my kids and been more present and attentive. It's time that maybe they were sitting in front of the TV so that I could have an hour to myself where we could have been outside, which would have been better for all of us anyways. When we feel like we're out of control, I feel like that is when we begin to wrestle with ourselves and wrestle with the things in our life. Ultimately, I know that creativity is just a part of me. It's who I am. It's how I function. It's the way I think through things. But if I am not planning my life around allowing myself to be creative, to execute, to make art, to do whatever it is that I'm feeling, and instead I'm bombarding myself with more pressure of meaningless things that aren't going to move the needle in that way, just thinking about it, just planning isn't enough. And I'm just going to feel more and more exhausted and depleted. At the end of the day, nothing matters more than who I am, who I'm becoming, and how I show up for my kids. When I focus on those things, it really helps shape and align what I need to do and how I need to do it in terms of utilizing my time the best, in terms of how to plan better. So yesterday when I sat down, I did come up with a good bit of ideas and things that I plan to do, even in terms of cooking, of meal prep, of when I planned to do that and when it is a non-negotiable, I will not cook. Things like picking up and laundry and the hard cutoff time for when we all need to be in bed. Things like that I kind of just let things flow. But now I am seeing getting home and rushing through and trying to just have so much prepared just for the next day to then come home and do it all over again is very silly. A better utilization of my time is to plan and get as much done for those 4 days and 1 day that I possibly can, so that I can get the time back daily. And I can use that more for my kids, to be home, to be present, to be chill and not worry, and maybe even get in some sketching or some editing or whatever might actually happen. But right now, life is so cluttered that I don't even have the space to allow any wiggle room for any of the fun, creative things to happen. That is all I have for you today, folks. I hope that you found this video a little bit inspiring, a little bit helpful, or maybe you just feel a little bit seen if you can relate. That is always my goal when making these videos, and I just wanted to share something that I am definitely in the middle of going through. As always, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful week, and happy Easter if you happen to be watching this around Easter time. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any videos to come. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.